yourself and who you represent. Okay, Larry.
Larry Quitted, I 3 months. First game, got a win out of the way, especially against a team that won convincingly in the morning, or rather in the afternoon. What is the plan against them?
Well, I mean, obviously we knew we were short as far as the runs were concerned, but I had a feeling, obviously, with regards to the way that the wickets fell in our innings, that the surface wasn't that easy. You know, I think the ball was obviously sort of dying, and you know, the hard ones sort of skidding through. So I just knew, obviously, Mushy and Tom Banton, you know, managed to put one partnership together that got us to, you know, to 100 and just over 100. And at the end of that, obviously, at our innings, I thought, given that surface, you know, 100 still could be quite tricky to chase down. And yeah, I mean, you know, obviously Wellington and the skipper, the prof, they just bowled wicket to wicket, because we knew, you know, just bowl wicket to wicket. That's where the trouble was for the batters, you know. And you know, sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I mean, as long as you assess the conditions, and I think we did that well after we batted. We didn't do it very well while we batted, you know. So I think it was obviously a lesson in that, and we stuck to our lines as far as the bowling was concerned, and that was it, you know. I mean, I think obviously got a little bit nervous when that tall right-hander was, you know, clearing. He hit the biggest six I've seen ever in my life. It was enormous. But yeah, I think you know, the blessing and the prof sort of just, you know, got the momentum. They built the pressure both sides, got the wickets, and that's the only way you're going to obviously defend a moderate total, you know, by taking wickets, and exactly what we did. Thought Victor showed great character after coming back, obviously going for quite a few in his first over, and then the skipper giving him the final over to bowl, and when we saw that, you know, some of us thought, well, is that the right decision? I thought it was great, and it showed a character, you know, for him to finish the game out.
Brian Golden, Sport News. Herschelle, how do you transfer your knowledge, how you play the game? You know, you were an attacking batsman, but now when you're coaching, to try and take into account all the players that you have,
yeah,
and looking into how this thing, I mean, how this game played out, because there's a slower wicket where no runs really, you know, when
yeah,
how do you balance that?
Yeah, yeah, I think, you know, in any format, if you're batting, sometimes you need to do hard yards, even in 10 overs. You know, you need to find a way. It's not always about the glitz and glamour. You know, not always about the boundaries. And the basics still apply even in 10-over cricket. You know, so the way you look at the way an experienced, you know, Mushy played, he hit normal cricket shots, but he did the basics. You know, he built the partnership, and that is what got us to a, you know, to a moderate total. So from my knowledge, I've obviously seen all the formats, and T10 cricket is no different. You know, it's just crunched up. You know, the basics still apply. You just need to find a way. You need to find a way with the ball. You need to find a way with the bat. And sometimes you say ugly runs. You know, it can't just be 4s and 6s. You know, you find a way for that particular surface. And I always tell them, you never play the man. You always play the conditions you face with. So, you know, and irrespective if you're playing 5 years or 20 years of cricket, that always stays the same. So, and the minute you start panicking, you know, you lose it up here, you know, you don't keep your thoughts and your emotions intact, it's easy for things to get away. But the longer you can control that, the better chance of you making better decisions and you execute it better. And like I said, you know, when I chose the squad, I went with a lot of experienced guys that know their game, that have seen it all. You know, you have a couple of, you know, wickets fall. A lot of them have played a lot of T10. You know, and it's about repetition at the end of the day, this game. Because they're never going to see things they haven't seen before. And the good teams do the basics more often than, you know, the teams that are not so good. And that's the difference why some teams do better than others, because they keep doing the basics longer.
Alright, okay, I'm speaking of from ZFM Studio.
Yeah.
Alright, so T10 being the fastest cricket format, we saw how Hamilton Masaga's quickly getting a hat-trick in terms of wickets.
Yeah.
Could there be a technique towards that, and how do you evaluate Hamilton's play?
No, look, I mean, Hamilton knows his trade. Like this, we obviously spoke at the turnaround. We just said keep it wicket to wicket because we knew, the ball was squatting. And as long as you're going to hit the pegs, you're going to stand a chance of getting the wickets. And exactly what he did. If the batters, they play too square, they don't play straight enough, he's there. So you got to put yourself in a position of getting the wickets first and foremost, which he did. And you rely on sometimes technique of the batters not being so good. That's what can happen. And for the bowlers, once they can only control that, how it comes out the hand and the lines. You hit the right lines and the right lengths, that's what happens. So, yeah, I mean, he assessed it well, and he had, on the other hand as well, you had, Hafiz building pressure on that side too. So you operate, in tandem, and that's about, building pressure both sides in order to defend a low total. And that's the momentum that we got, and obviously put them back. So it was just great planning and great execution.
2 final questions.
Hesh, it's the first time in Zimbabwe playing under
For a long time, yeah.
under lights. Under lights. So, what was your talk with the team? Nobody knew what to expect under lights. But obviously, we played 3 games on the same surface.
Yeah.
So going into trying to defend total.
Look, I think it's funny because it deteriorated quite a lot after the second game. I mean, you could see that in the first 2 overs when they bowled to us. You could see from immediately there was a lot more dying. The ball died quite a lot, and I mean, obviously before the game we decided, well, we would like to bat first anyway, but we didn't think the wicket was going to be like that. Whether or not, I don't think lights had anything to do with it. I mean, obviously some of the guys, the game before us, the lights aren't that strong, but I think it's sufficient. And unfortunately, we will obviously see it when it's completely, when there's no natural light, completely artificial. Might not be the strongest, but you got to adapt. You play the conditions. It's the first for the league. They will know that maybe next season they will need to get stronger lights, etc., etc. But you always play the conditions, like I said. And if the lights are not good enough, you got to make an adjustment. It's just one of those things. It can't always be easy for everybody,
Yes.
So my final question, Larry again. That was part of the question I want to ask, like being part of the historic night where Zimbabwe played under lights. But my question would be, like, for the Zimbabwean players, what has been your plan for them, because it's a home tournament for them, and as far as improving their skills?
Yeah, look, I mean, we know we've got to play, 4 locals. Obviously, the emerging Matthew Campbell will have to play minimum 3 games as well. So we've got to look at that. It's about getting some momentum first and foremost. But I will obviously try and give everybody a chance, the locals as well. Give at least 1 game. I mean, it's a frenetic sort of format, but the more you can put yourself in this sort of position and under pressure, it's the most extreme pressure in cricket, 10 overs. And if you come out mentally a lot stronger and your confidence and your self-belief is much better after the league, then it's a win-win for everybody. And that is what I try and achieve and try and put them in a situation to test themselves under the most extreme pressure, which hopefully, obviously will improve their self-belief and their confidence as players. And once you take it from that, you then see players that believe grow and their confidence grow and their skill improves, most importantly. That's what you want. The temperament under pressure and improvement of skill. Then the players on the right.
Ladies and gentlemen, the head coach of the Joburg